Welcome back to the Pursuit of Accuracy. I'm Josh. Today we're here to talk about the Element Theos 2-10 Mpvo, why I picked this up, what I'm going to be using it for, how it may work for you, and why this may be the death of every 1-8 or 1-10 I already own. So the question remains, why even buy a 2-10, an Mpvo, when 1-10s, 1-8s exist? Well, I own those other optics, and to be honest with you, the biggest downside to a 1-10 is it doesn't do either or all of it really well. So if it has a really good 1x magnification, like a true 1 power that's going to be really good in CQB, and it's not going to be great in CQB because you're kind of still looking through an optic, is that the 8, 9, 10 power usually don't do really well. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, if the higher magnification does really well, then the 1x is usually like not really truly 1x and not really usable. So the 2-10 is going to do almost all of that, but it's going to do it all really well. Now there are some downsides to this, and we will talk about it. We're going to talk about specifically the use case of why I got this and why you might consider going to something like a 2-10. And the best way to do that is by firing up this trigger cam, letting you guys see what I see. We're going to talk about the features, how this optic works. Let's get this thing fired up. Let's take a look. All right, so I'm going to be a little bit of a cheater here, and I'm going to shoot this off the bench because, one, it's cold, and two, I want to make sure that you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Now, keep in mind that this camera does degrade like image quality. What I see is probably twice as good as what you can see, and that will become really important when we start talking about depth of field. We'll go ahead and fire this thing up. When we start talking about depth of field as it relates to parallax, because one thing this does really well is it is very forgiving on the depth of field, meaning I can parallax this to 100 yards here, and that is a 30-yard target. Parallax to 100 yards, and I'm at 2, 3, 4 power, come in some more. That image is not going wildly out of focus as I come up in magnification, and that's something not a lot of optics can do. And if you come all the way down to 2 power, it's so crazy good on depth of field that when I was playing with this in my yard, like a lot of people do, you buy a new scope, you kind of go and play with it. I was scanning, and I was looking at a target stand about 5, maybe 4 yards in front of me, and I could see the grain of the steel parallax to 100 yards. So crazy good. First, let's just kind of double check this. We're going to kind of make sure. I think this is going to be good for now. Get this out of the way. First, we're just going to make sure this is kind of somewhat in the ballpark. For 50 yards, we'll peel up a little bit on magnification. And this trigger cam makes it kind of hard on me. Let's go to the small one. There we go. AR-22s are a ton of fun, and there's more videos coming on this. This is not kind of done yet. This is a bore buddy upper, Lpvo barrel, obviously suppressed. But yeah, I'm going to move the camera angle. I'm going to talk about some of the features. Actually, let's go out to 100 yards. We'll bring this up. Let me show you guys the illumination on this thing. Push button illumination. So I'm press and hold. That is not at the highest setting. Let's turn this up to about 2 mils. I'm not even sure what the dope is. It is windy as crap though. All right, so let me go through. Let me show you guys the illumination here. It's push button, so as we push this, you see it's getting dimmer, and then it's going to start coming back up as we're pushing on it. And this is a different kind of illumination. I don't want to misspeak on it, but let's come down to, so now we're down at 2 power, and as you look through this, you could definitely use this for some close quarter shooting. Again, we're still parallaxed at 100 yards, but we come into 30, 15, 30, 50. That is very, very, very apparent. Actually, we'll use this real quick. Let me go ahead and just come down to 50. We'll shoot it closer. We'll kind of use this, kind of how this is intended to be. Let's see here. Of course, that all works really, really well. Let me bring you in up close and personal to check out some of the features on the scope body itself, and then we'll get back out to some high magnification out at distance, kind of 150 yards, so you guys can see a little bit more about the image quality. Now let's talk turrets really quickly. This brought over some features from the Theos 6 to 36, the original one, where you have this flipper, so as you dial, very tactile clicks, by the way. When you get to that second revolution, which is going to be at 12 mils, you can see this little flapper here has moved over to the 2 indicator. So you have a rev indicator. Now, on an Mpvo, are you going to be dialing more than 12 mils? Probably not. For me, you know, I'm going to be putting a Fire 4000 on top of here and leaving this zeroed pretty much all the time. Now here I have this set up as the exposed windage configuration. You can see that I kind of zeroed this and I haven't actually re-zeroed the turret, but this is like a beauty ring cover for the thread, and it of course does come with something to cover this as a cap setup. But the quick adjustment on these scopes is one of my favorite things. It's toolless, so all you need to do is grab this, twist this ring, no tools needed, out in the field. And we can go ahead and reset this now because we had it at the wrong windage from when we zeroed this. Get that lined up. We can screw this back on. That's it. So you can re-zero and zero this out in the field very, very easily. And of course, as you would expect, the magnification and all the controls are buttery smooth. You know, that's the case with all of Theos. I mean, this thing is just really, really nice. Everything's super tight and super smooth. That, of course, is going to be equally true for the parallax. You're not going to accidentally move this. It does parallax all the way down to 10 meters, but it has a really cool feature that other scopes don't. It actually has like a detent. You see how it just kind of stops there? Has a detent at 100 yards. So if you're in the dark, you don't know where you're at, you can just find that detent and go, okay, I'm at 100 yards, which is a really cool feature. Just something they didn't have to add, but I think will make a lot of sense for a lot of guys. All right, so we're here back on target. We're gonna actually parallax to 150 yards. And what I wanna show you guys is basically the subtensions at distance and at max magnification. Now, the image quality that you guys are seeing, if you're seeing chromatic aberration, which I can look here and tell, that is not from the scope. This is from the camera. It's just an adverse side effect. But here at full 10 power magnification, we have very, very usable subtensions. All right, so we're gonna back off the magnification here, and about 6 or 7 power is, I think, the limit on where you're gonna be able to use the subtensions, like to make very accurate, you know, follow-up shots, those kind of things. So between 6 and 2 is where I really think that you're gonna be doing close target engagements at, you know, obviously 2 power, and or just glassing and IDing targets, because just to be honest, that is one of the downfalls of this, and it's a trade-off kind of thing. They didn't do anything wrong when they made this scope, but they made this reticle very usable at max magnification. So at 10 power, the glass quality is really good, and you have a really great amount of reticle without it totally just taking up the entire image, because they could have made this thicker, which would have made it more usable at mid magnification, but then at high magnification, it's going to be taking up entirely too much of the target. So I think they made the right move, but it's something to consider, is the fact that when you're down here at 3, 4, 5 power, yes, you can see the reticle, especially if we turn back on the illumination there. Very easy to see the reticle. But are you going to be making precision holdovers at 5 power on this optic? No. That 2 to 5, 6 power is going to be more for mid-range engagements where you're just using the reticle. You're not doing a lot of advanced or like 2/10 kind of holdovers. Yeah, you can hold over a mil, 2 mils. That's still very easy up at 5 or 6 power, but you are not going to be making precise holds. All right, guys, so we've looked a lot through this. We've talked a lot about it, but at the end of the day, would I recommend this? Is this worth the money? And the easy answer is yes. This is not an inexpensive scope. This is a scope I would say would do you well to put on an all-purpose rifle, a duty rifle, because that's not really where we want to cheap out. Now, for me particularly, this scope is going on an AR on a 223 based rifle, and it's going to team sniper matches with me. There are matches that limit you to 10 power magnification, and in those matches, you are rough on equipment. You are packing, rucking, doing very dynamic stages in shooting, and I simply cannot worry about the optic. So when you buy into an optic of this quality, it's just something you don't have to worry about. Could you buy something cheaper? Yes. It wouldn't have as good a glass quality, probably wouldn't be as well thought out. But when you're looking at something that you want to last you forever, that you don't have to worry about, that you can beat the absolute crap out of, and that's going to work really, really well for your intended use case, then I really feel like something like this Element Theos 2-10 is something worth looking at. If you've been riding the Lpvo train like me, you know, previously, like I said, I would never consider a 2-10 because I had a 1-8, I had a 1-10, until I got this and looked through it, and then I realized, man, how good this is. From 2 to 10 power, this thing is really good. At 10 power at max magnification, where some optics are going to struggle, this just doesn't. So there's gonna be a part 2 where we have this on a 223. We're gonna go out to the Coleman shooting range, and I'm gonna put this on steel with an AR out to 700, 800, 900 yards. We're gonna see how far we can stretch this optic out to where I can still see my hits, misses, make corrections, do all those sorts of things with this 2-10 Mpvo. So I appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you on the next one.